Hey everybody, this is part 2 of my little project growing various plants, pillar fruit trees, peonies, magnolias and roses in pots in my garden in an intuitive way. So I'm asking the plant how they want to be cared for. I'm tuning into their being, their oversouls, their devas, individually, as a species, and in their place in the entire garden, so the diva of the garden. So what I'm doing now, the last one, part 1, I will link below, and the consecutive ones I'll also link below, is I was having a lot of trouble with the pots that I bought for these plants. I bought these pots not with intuitive asking, but in terms of reading the instructions. I didn't take care in getting pots without holes in the bottom, and so all the pots I bought did not have pre-drilled holes in the bottom, which have caused untold problems, and some plants I've almost lost because they've drowned in water during heavy rains. And what I've decided to do now all the pots since the last video do have holes in the bottom. But before that happened, when I tried to drill holes in the bottom and I couldn't myself, I bought some more pots. Now, what has happened is I've bought beautiful pots just for the pillar fruit trees, and they feel energetically aligned to beauty and harmony and to nourishing the plants. So in this case, I've already repotted one of them. So these were grown from dormant stems and roots. So I've transplanted this one into this beautiful pot that goes very well with the energy of the garden. And before I transplanted it, I asked the plant, I tuned into the plant and I asked it if it's okay to move into this pot, and I explained that it's going to be uprooted and moved to take away the shock, because in the previous video the roses had been shocked by being uprooted. So I was able to feel them energetically connect to their roots and connect to the ground through the base of the pot, and in the same soil but in a new pot. So then I'm just about to transfer this one, it's another pillar fruit tree, from this pot. And there's been quite a lot of trauma in this pot because of the constant rains, and then as I would have to tip the water out, all the soil would fall out, so there's an energy of trauma connected to it. These pots are fresh and new, and they're holding a really high vibration of intention. I'm going to repurpose these pots for overflowing flower gardens or vegetables. And I'll do some healing on the pots before I do that to remove any negative energy from my own worry about the plants, or from the trauma energy that was involved with the flooding and overwhelm. So I've just tuned into this plant, and it already understood the intention from the communication I had with its brother, this plant. So it was already aligned to the transfer, and I got the go ahead, so I'm just about to do that now. So he's in his new pot. I can feel his energy's doing fine. I can feel his roots grounded into the earth through the bottom of the pot. I feel an overwhelming heart expansion, like a thank you, and a throat expansion and a crown expansion. This it's making my breathing really full, like I'm breathing life force through me. So I feel that is the plant telling me that it's fully breathing life force through it, connected to heaven and earth. I did notice that the soil was extremely smelly, so at the end, when I water them all in and make sure that earth is compact enough, I will check on the quality of the soil if we need to do anything physically or energetically with it. I can feel that this one has lined up energetically with this one. I can see a lattice between them, an energetic lattice, the sacred geometry they're holding in space. It's like they're holding a portal in this archway into this area over here, which is where all these peony plants have all congregated. I say congregated because I've very carefully placed them all, and they all wanted to be together, and their energy is all, though they're not in a circle, their energy is forming a circle. And I'm going to put a fountain over here. So I feel like this area is going to be transformed into a sacred geometry. And the peonies, an interesting story is that I lost this one in the flood, basically, and it's only just a stem left, which is not going to survive. And I don't know enough about gardening, and I haven't looked it up to know yet if that bulb will, probably go dormant and then send out shoots next year, and it'll just be like a year behind. Some others have got more wrecked in the drowning as well, but I feel confident that we can work with it, this one as well, but the others are still, in good shape. But at the same time as I lost one of them, so 1 out of 6, my neighbour, who also happened to be coincidentally planting peonies in bulbs in pots that I didn't know about, she only has one, she went out and bought a bouquet of 6 peonies and gave me one. So I felt like this peony actually is, it's reached its full bloom, and it's beautifully fragrant and so huge. Look how big they are. I've enjoyed it, and I've done energy work with it. I'll link the videos below. I feel it's the representation of what these little bulbs in their infancy are going to grow into. And the peony is also about the seeds of the new creation, bringing them from the angelic into physical form. So what I felt to do actually was to, as this has completed its process indoors, bring it outside where the bees can pollinate it, and then put these seed pods in this pot. And I'm about to make a peony water out of the petals, which are also energized from the energy work we've been doing with them. But I'm going to, bring, this is almost like the final destination, so I'm bringing the energy of the final destination into these pots, particularly this one that didn't make it, so that it's forming a timeline, so it's forming a pathway to the future, to the beauty of the destination. It's creating the path from the destination back to the seed. So I'm just going to leave that for a day or so. I'm going to collect all the petals, make a peony water or a peony syrup, which I will consume, I will use in the air. You can make smoothies, you can make milkshakes, you can make ice cream, you can make sauces, you can make peony lemonade, or you can spray the water, or you can put it in your bath. So it's full of codes, so I'm going to do that, and I will do a separate video which I'll link below. So not right now, but once I've finished repotting the other pot, I'm going to do an activation of the whole garden at its next stage, including the geometry that these peonies are making. So as I'm about to pot up the last pot over here, transfer this one, which isn't doing very well, into this pot. It asked to go over here, so it's forming a boundary and a geometry with the other two silver pots, the other two pillar fruit trees. And the two roses, one of them wanted to go here next to another rose bush, so it's been moved. I've also trimmed the dead top off, and I've done some energy work on it. The peonies yesterday, after the second drowning, actually asked this time for some light language rather than some energy field healing, which is similar to what the roses had required when they had, not rooted into the ground properly. So let me just tune into this one. It's not doing incredibly well. So I want to also express that this is the early stage of working with the plants with their energy. I initially put these in the ground not consciously working with the energy, and so I feel that this is on purpose because it's part of my learning experience on how to heal the plants and how to really work with their consciousness. I think that part of the process was to understand what can happen to them when I'm not working consciously with them. So I'll just put this one up. Let me see what it says. Yeah, it wants to ground here. This is where it wants to ground. This is where it wants to put its roots in. It hasn't fully got its roots in the ground. It has been shocked by the various things that have happened to it. So I'm going to do that now. Okay. This one has just been repotted. I can feel its energy anchoring from high above the divine, the angelic, coming down the central pillar, down the stem of the tree, the trunk of the tree, down into the earth. I can feel its roots activating with divine energy. Okay, I can feel them trying to penetrate through it's just penetrated through the bottom of the pot, down into the earth, down deep into the earth. It's accessing the water energy down deep in the earth, accessing the golden core, and now I can see the template of the tree, really green and lush, coming out the top of the stem, and it's aligning to its template and expanding. Right, this one wants attention. It's connecting to the roses next to it. Connecting to family. Feeling a lot of green nature energy coming down around it, enveloping it, going down into its roots, down into the ground, through the bottom of the pot, down into the earth, down into the water. Okay, bringing the energy back up into the plant, and I can see the full rose bush, the template of the full rose bush. I'm seeing its template, its future self, expanded all the energy already present in its full expanded, healthy self. And I'm feeling gratitude from the plant, and divine angelic assistance, devas, flooding in to nourish and nurture this plant all around its energy field, permanently connected to it. Okay, here's a little scan of the garden. In part one I hadn't mowed it or looked after it yet. It has now been mowed and tended to. The energy in it after the first transmission in part one, and then the physical love that I gave it by trimming it and mowing it and aligning to it, and coming out here every day and aligning to the garden and being one with it, just created the most incredible energy in this garden. Just the most incredible energy. It was divine. It was like the Garden of Eden. And I just sat out most of the day on this lounge, being one with the garden. So today, once we've done this final overall connection of the garden after making those changes, so to harmonise the changes and to align them to the vision of the garden and the devas of the garden and the template of the garden, I'm going to harvest these elderflowers. So I've been told by the elderflower tree which ones I can use. This one, this one, this one, and this one. And I'm going to make, I'm going to do it in co-creation with the flowers, the trees and spirit. I'm going to make, bring the codes in and make an energized elderflower lemonade. And I'm going to, as I said, I'm going to do the same with the peony. And I've been connecting to this rose bush, which is heavy with buds. I asked which of the flowers it would be in balance and harmony for me to energetically, with permission, cut and take inside. This tree, I've had incredible connection with it. When I first moved into this garden a couple of years ago, I connected energetically with it, and it covered me in beautiful unconditional love, just the most exquisite unconditional love, and these roses are extremely fragrant. So I'm looking forward to bringing them inside and breathing in their beautiful fragrant essence. So let's go over now to the peonies. Ask them what they want. So this one, which is doing well, reasonably well, actually feels like the leader, if there is such a thing. It's lending energy to this one, this pillar fruit tree grounding. So they're forming an allegiance. And now I can feel the marigold tree also forming the allegiance. So there's geometry there. Okay, and then now this one is joining. Now this one, now this one. Now this one with the aid of the flower, and this one. And then the circle is complete. Okay. And with the circle complete, we've got an expansion. I've got to step back. Okay, so I'm getting the idea that when I walk through that portal there, the gate, with these flowers, that's the Garden of Eden. So that's where the energy is held for the nurturance and for the private space. And those plants hold the geometry, and this area is still part of the garden, obviously, and the plan. But for now, that section has so behind the swing, from the swing, this is a point of this particular intention and template held by these plants, and I can feel how that boundary goes right into the earth underneath the ground. So after that point, I watered all the plants. So one part of working with the garden intuitively in the channeled way is listening to the energy and to all the multidimensional levels that co-create the garden. But another part is following the physical manual steps of love in action, of co-creation in action, because I am the action part of the garden. I'm the one that can physically water the plants or move them to a location that balances the energies. So I just tuned in to the feeling of the garden. I watered the plants. At that point it felt like it was about to rain, so I just cleaned up and moved inside with the intention to consolidate this gardening project into a structure in order to help other people learn alongside me in this process, so via my YouTube and Instagram pages. So I'm about to go and do a little introduction video. So if you've seen part 1 and you've now seen part 2, I'm going to do a playlist with an intro and then the entire series following along on this channeled multidimensional gardening project. It's starting to take shape now in my consciousness, so I feel I can express more what it is. So I suppose some other points I wanted to say was that even when I'm taking the action, when I'm just out here watering the plants or moving the pots around, I'm doing it with consciousness. I'm doing it whilst in a what I would call a healing space, which is I'm connected to my guidance, to heaven and earth, to the oneness of all that is, to the intention of co-creation, to the intention of the highest good of the garden and all the beings in it on all levels. And I'm grounded. I'm very grounded, and my heart is open, and I'm doing it with love. So every bit of water that's going in there contains the light codes of my intention. And it's very tangible to me being able to feel energy, the difference in the garden when I'm doing that consciously. Though I've always been connected to all these things and been highly aware, my intention and my focus wasn't here. And I can really feel the difference when it is. So every day also, the first thing I do, or relatively the first thing, is come out and sit in the garden and just feel everything and ground and bring in the energy. And from there I can even feel if anything is a little bit out of alignment, but I can feel the general energy, and it's extremely heart-centered energy in this garden right now. So I hope you'll follow along with me in my journey. I will always have related videos and links down in the description box. So yeah, I hope you all enjoy, and thank you for joining me.